What about, what did you notice with like protein intake over there? Because I mean, in Europe is notorious for, I shouldn't say notorious, but I guess at least in the world that I'm in, yes, there's a lower protein intake. But did you find, like, what did you think about protein quality? What did you find there?
Yeah, protein quality was definitely better. I found like size of things, like a chicken breast over there was so much smaller. Yeah. Because I guess it's all been like pumped with stuff. But just portion sizes in general were smaller, which is hard, if you're looking to get, a certain level of protein in a day, like you have to order an extra steak or an extra burger or whatever it is for your food. But I found the quality, like it hits different, man. Like the taste of it, the flavor profile or something is just better. And it just feels cleaner. It doesn't feel like it's been pumped with anything. I mean, the UK is much better with the meat compared to the US, I find. You have to hunt much more for, I use hunt in the supermarket sense, not actually going hunting, but you have to really search for the good quality meat here. Whereas in the UK, we're very lucky because we have farms everywhere and they're quite precious about the quality of our British meat. But it was hard to get, like it's much harder to get like steaks and stuff in Italy and stuff. It was more lots of fish, like and smaller fish like anchovies, sardines, stuff like that is readily available, but obviously have great benefit.
So after today's video, I put a link down below for Fatty 15. I've had that researcher on my channel. She's phenomenal. Fatty 15 is the isolated form of the C15 saturated fat. So it makes the cell have structure so it doesn't become oxidized and ultimately lead to premature cellular death within the liver, which leads to, guess what? Inflammation and more fatty liver and visceral fat. Okay, so highly, highly important. I don't care if you get aged cheese or you use a supplement, but Fatty 15 is a really cool supplement. I put a link down below. That is a 15% off discount link when you use that link and that code down below. I also linked out to Dr. Ven Watson's book, who's one of the pioneering researchers of C15 as this fat that we're deficient in across the human race, really. So those links are down below.
Yeah, I noticed just being able to find, good red meat was a little bit harder. I think that part is, I shouldn't say it was hard to find, but it was definitely
just not readily available.
Yeah, and if you don't speak the language and you're like looking for those keywords in a menu, being like, okay, and then after you're there for a while, then you start. And I grew up, I spent some time in Italy going to school there when I was younger, when I was a kid, and but I wasn't into what I'm into now, so it wasn't. It was just surviving, but I do remember the food being better, but I wasn't seeking out protein like I was when I recently was there.
Yeah.
And, I noticed, okay, to get my protein intake, a lot more options with like high protein dairy. Like they have, like in the US, we have, you've heard of Fairlife milk. We have Fairlife milk, which is, I don't know, I can't really attest to the quality, good or bad. I know it's not organic. I know it's not A2. It's highly processed milk in the sense that it's been filtered to increase the protein and lower the sugar content. Yeah. I still consume it from time to time, but it's not like a staple. However, I noticed in Europe, there's multiple brands in Italy and France that were these ultra-filtered milks and even ultra-filtered mozzarella cheese. Yeah. So it was like a mozzarella cheese that was a high-protein mozzarella cheese. So it was like you could eat it. They filtered it so it was lower fat content, but it was like 18 grams of milk protein in this. And they're not adding whey protein into it. They're not like, in the U.S. we've got like, Oikos has that brand of yogurt that's a Greek yogurt where it's a high protein Greek yogurt where there's whey protein added to it, which is all.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting and it's great if you're in a pinch because they have it at Walmart. It actually is awesome. There's some preservatives in it, so it's not like super clean, but if you're like on a road trip or something and you find it's great. But what I found is in Europe, when I first looked at these, I'm like, okay, interesting. High protein milk drink or high protein yogurt pudding or I'm like, okay, this just got to be total garbage. Like, what are they adding into it? And then I like flip it around and no, it's literally like, they're just concentrating the dairy and getting the protein out of it. So they're like stripping some of the sugar, stripping some of the fats. Who knows? They're probably using that to make cream and stuff like that. And they're leaving you with like a dry, higher protein, lower fat, like ball of cheese, or it was really
Is that
awesome.
a similar process that they use for Greek yogurt then? Is that
It is. They're
exactly
basically
the same
just
thing?
exactly. They're filtering it more, and there's not a probiotic effect like there is with Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
But the evidence is really strong that milk protein. So they got whey protein, casein protein, and you've got milk protein, which is going to be like a hybrid of the two. Like milk protein is probably one of the best proteins that you could have that's out there.
Yeah.
If you look in the scientific literature, like when they're looking at like a full spectrum dairy protein,
Yeah.
they're looking at milk protein. And it's interesting. So it's like those kinds of dairy forms are phenomenal. So I lived on that. And, because it was like I wasn't able to get like my ground beef everywhere I wanted to.
Yeah.
And like one thing I noticed, and I don't want to go off too much of a tangent, but like normally if I'm in the States, I'll be like, okay, grab like some Applegate Farms sliced deli meat because it's really only meat and salt and like rosemary. It's like 3 ingredients.
Yeah,
Like,
avoiding
perfect.
those sulfites and the nitrates is tough in those
That-
deli meats.
That was hard in Europe. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't find a clean deli meat to save my life unless I went to an actual deli and got like Parma ham, which is going to be ham and salt.
Yeah.
But then I was like, it was a lot of salt. Like I just
So
didn't-
much salt
So
in.
like I have no problem with the ingredients, but that wasn't what I was looking for at that
Yeah,
time.
I would actually, on a funny story on Loving the Villa, that movie, I committed at the start of the scene to eating prosciutto in every shot at the start of the scene. And my face by the end of that day of shooting, I just felt like this, because the amount of sodium in those things is crazy. And I was just having a little bite every take, but over a day of shooting, you've eaten a ton of ham.
Did you notice? Because this is where I think people could really stand to be educated in the world of the difference between like a crappy cured meat or a crappy deli meat and a real good quality cured meat.
Yeah.
They all get roped together as processed meats, and I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because there's in Europe there was the deli meat, which really wasn't good. The stuff that's in just the refrigerated section
Yeah,
of the
it's just
grocery
there
store.
in a package and it's on the,
But then if you go and actually get real Parma ham or prosciutto, you're talking 2 ingredients, meat and salt.
And so, yeah, I actually had this one recently. My buddy Clark, I was over in Amsterdam and he got this incredible, I forget what it's called, but it's a very famous Spanish cured ham that they hang for like years, like 5-6 years. And they just reload the salt on it. But it is the most delicious ham I've ever had. It was incredible. And just no sulfites, no nitrates, nothing. And just from a long process. But that's like the old school way of doing it. And I think that's the problem. Is like everything we talked about, it's what's made it easier, what's made it more accessible, what's like promotes the speed of it getting onto the shelves and the turnover and also how long it can sit there. It's just makes it easier for the people who are making it to put it out to consumers. Whereas actually, if you look for it, processed meat, it like gets a bad rep, but there's processed meat in that form that actually I think there's a lot of benefits from. Like that kind of ham is delicious and is not bad for you.
It's like when you look at the even the literature on like red meat, a lot of times red meat, beef gets roped into this processed meat category.
Yeah.
Like that's absolutely not the case. Like
100%.
it gets roped in there, and it's like that's not processed meat. Like we're not talking about like a 60% beef frank hot dog.
Yeah.
That's processed meat.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about like real processed meat versus real good quality.
Yeah. Even bacon, right? Like there's certain types of bacon. If you get an outdoor bred bacon that's got no nitrates in it, there's really not a huge amount of downside for utilizing that every now and again. I mean, bacon, it's very high fat content and a lot of salt again still, but in dribs and drabs, it has its benefits.
The other thing I noticed was a lot of consumption of like soft boiled eggs and poached eggs versus eggs
Pickled.
Yep. Yeah. Just like, is this like, so no added oils to them. No, like it was just like everywhere, local places I go, people were eating like soft boiled eggs and actually out of the little, the funny little things that they eat them out of. And I'm like, they just look funny. I don't know. It just looks like I don't know. I'm a big guy and I'm eating there with like one cup and my one egg and a little spoon.
Yeah.
And,
were you egg and soldiers? Do you remember egg and soldiers? Like different men. Yeah.
So but I'm like, okay, like, yes, I mean, obviously people are eating over easy and they're eating omelets and that's clearly exists. But I would say it was clearly 5 times or more the amount of people that were just eating eggs in that fashion. I'm like, here, it's like, it's like people don't eat eggs like that. Like people look at me like I'm crazy when I order poached eggs without like getting them on a Benedict. Like you just want
just poached
You
eggs.
just want poached eggs?
Yeah. Well, it's the same when you order burger patties, right? You just bring me the burger patties and some avocado on the side. Like the idea of taking away the sauce, the bread, it's like, so you just want the meat. It's like they look like you just think you're crazy.
You pig.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're insane. So like it's rewiring that for people. It's like, but once upon a time I was the same. I'd have been like, what? Yeah. What are you talking about?
You glutton, you just want the meat. It's, and it was in Europe, it was hard to not, I felt like sometimes when I would be like, okay, well, yes, I'll get a chicken breast or a burger patty or something. I'm like, can you bring double? And they kind of look at me funny because they're not used to hearing that. And you tell they're kind of looking at me like gluttonous American, like, what like double the meat. And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to get my protein in. But it's just like so sometimes those cultural norms, just to play devil's advocate, can like, they can be off-putting too. Because you're like, hey, no, I swear I'm not just like a pig. I'm just trying to get my protein in.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
It's like the eggs as well, right? You know when like you go 8 eggs and they go 8 and you go 8 eggs.
We usually give you 1.
You're insane. Yeah. Actually, once in Toronto, when me and David Castaneda from Brother Academy, we got put up in this hotel when we first got there, and they said they had a 1 egg limit, and I was like, but wait, I can pay for more eggs though, right? And they're like, no, it's 1 egg per person. And I was like, what is this place? I'll go buy a pack of eggs, and can you cook them for me? And they're like, no, we can't do that. It's a 1 egg limit. And I was like, we got to get into a different hotel. This is crazy. But I've never come across that before, where they said a one egg limit, per person.
That is pretty wild. I had a similar experience in a hotel in Switzerland when it had like a little restaurant attached to it, and I was like, hey, can I ask you to like pay for you to cook just like 5 chicken breasts for me to have just for a few days throughout the week and stuff, just to have them? And they're just like, are you crazy? And I'm like, well, I can go down to the store and I can like buy the chicken breast myself, and can I just pay you a fee to grill it? And they're like, well, I have to check with the chef. And they call me up at the room, and like, we've spoken with the chef, and he says this is not possible. And I was like, even if I bring he's like, well, due to like, culinary standards in this kitchen, like we can't bring outside meat. I'm like, okay, that I understand. Right. That I understand. Right. Okay, well, can I pay for 5 chicken breasts? And they said the same thing. They're like, you can do 1 a day, and you can, because I'm just like, well, that's really interesting. So there's some things where it's just like, all right, like, so there's a very strong kind of like line there between like, clearly they are healthier. Clearly they have better life expectancy. From a fitness perspective, there's a little bit of a line that kind of gets drawn, because then it does, when you start trying to, okay, I want to build muscle, then you're like, okay, you got to jump through some hoops and barrels.
This is another argument about, I think building muscle, training, living a life of like, trying to have athletic performance and then longevity, right? As in people who are just going for walks every day, eating like the way they're eating, probably incorporating some fasting without even realizing it. Community, all that sort of stuff. None of them are like jacked up lifting weights, right? So it's always that trade-off thing of like longevity versus athletic performance versus, like maintaining muscle mass. There's always that thing of like, I'm always having that battle, because for me, the way I live is for longevity, but I also love to train, love to have some muscle on. And also for my job, I need to maintain that. So that's always an internal battle in my head of like, well, which is it then? Which way should I go here? Should I train less and like try and keep less muscle mass and just like eat less and put less load on my body for the amount I'm eating? And so it's always that thing of like, what is right? What? But that's why, I talk about like pick a goal, because which one you want.
And it's okay if that goal shifts. And I think what we talked about off camera a little bit was, I think that, I know that I have a lot of middle-aged audience, but for the young people that watch this, it's use those young seasons as the time to build the muscle and put the mass on while your joints are good and while you can, and have that muscle carry you through life. So that because the reality is, as though much as you want to continue to train with extreme intensity as you get older, like that may not be what your body really wants. Yes. It might be what we tell ourselves our body wants, but I mean, it comes down to a preservation of energy, period. Like, where do you want your energy? And we kind of talked about this, like is it irresponsible to use all of your energy reserve on a vanity-driven goal that takes away from your family, like literally your physical energy? Like, I'm going to work out so much that I'm going to beat myself up and feel like crap, possibly even like disable myself where I can't sit on the toilet because my legs are too sore. Like, we take it away from it takes away from the family, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you find that? So I'm just like, okay, put the mass on early so that you can just focus on maintaining, and you're not.
Well, it's going to be harder to maintain anyway when you get, 40s, 50s,
it's
60s,
all relative,
right?
Yep.
So it's going to be, so you want a stronger base as possible early on, and that muscle will fly on you in, your teens, 20s. Like, you'll keep it so much easier. But I think having that thing, because we talked about this, to actually maintain muscle, you don't need to push your body to these like crazy limits. Once you've got that base, find where you want to be, find like that kind of happy place that you feel good, and then maintain. And because there's only a few people that actually need to do what we would call like bulking and getting bigger and putting on mass. It's like, do you really need to? Because there's times where I've had to, right, for roles, but would I have done that if I didn't do the job that I did? Maybe not. Maybe I'd have just found like the place that I'm in now, where I'm like, I just want to feel good, feel strong, feel like I've got energy, and then maintain that into older life.
Yep. Then you retire and just play golf.
Exactly. Yeah. Screw my back.
Yeah. Well, man, where can everyone find you?
On Instagram, I'm Tom Hopper Hops. That's the only social media platform I'm on.
Right on, my man. Thanks, brother.
Cheers, bud.